Welcome to Python Basics with EJD. In this video, we'll be talking about naming variables in Python. I think in the last video, I especially even in the first video, there was an instance where I had to say write something like x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3, and all that. So the x you see right there is actually a variable. So naming variables in Python is really important, and this video helps us to dissect that idea. Okay. So as usual, since we're using Google Colab, I just click here, then I can go for Google Colab. I've been using that very often. That's why it comes very easy. Once I type G, then I click on Google Colab like this. Now I'm talking about the third topic, which is naming variables in Python. Now wait carefully for that to open. Um, Notebook not found, really. I guess I don't need this. Yeah, this is naming variables in Python. Good. So this is what we need. Now, of course, from the table of contents, we see we just have two, I think we have just two sections, basically, right? We have two, um, did I extend this? Okay, I think I did not bother extending. Yeah, that works. Okay, so this is going to be a short video, hopefully. So we're talking about variables basically. So in Python, there are several types of variables you can use to store different kinds of data. So remember in the first video, there was an instance where I said I wrote something like, okay, I think I want to do the same again here. So I need a code place where I said x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3, and then I said print, or in fact, I can even go further and say z is equal to x plus y. So it even gives me uh possible things. So I can accept all this. Okay, just accept everything it gives because that's exactly what I want. So this one, Google Colab also has the benefit of AI, so it can help you predict what you want to do with a measure of accuracy. And with this now, if you want to run this, of course, you can use Control Enter. If you need a cell after, you use Alternate Enter. So I use Control Enter, and then it thinks a bit, so to speak. It processes it and it spews out the answer. This is a bit slower for the first time compared to Jupyter Notebook because it's on the web. It needs internet, right? So if your internet is slow, that might also affect it. So now you see x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3, z equals x plus y, and then we print z, and z is equal to 5. Now, so you see here now that this x here is actually what you can call a variable, okay? And y is also a variable, as well as z, which is a variable adding x and y together. All right. So x, y, and z are variables in this case. And if for a variable, right, so a variable is something that can take it can take a particular given value. So this one is telling you things what the variable is about and things like that. So x, y, and z are variables here. So the question is, which types of variable do we have in Python? So, well, if you ask me, I like to classify Python variables into two types, into variable data types and variable data structures. So we are going to dissect all of this one after the other as we progress, because my intention for making these Python basics videos is to give you all the dimensions of everything that, as far as Python is concerned, all the nitty-gritty, all the fundamental and essentials that will keep you, get you informed for whatever you need to use Python for at the end of the day. So I have data types like integers, float point numbers, complex numbers, booleans, and strings. Those fall under data types. We're going to look at them in a subsequent video. Then for data structures, we have lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. So we also explore all of this as we go on. But in this case, our focus is on how to name these variables. So that's what basically this video is about. Now, in naming variables, there are some rules we need to follow. Very important rules that should be followed. For instance, if we have some guidelines for choosing suitable variable names in Python. So variables can contain both letters and numbers, but they must start with a letter and not a number. So your variable can start with letters alone. They cannot start with numbers, basically. Although variables can contain letters and numbers, but they cannot start with numbers, basically. So for example, variable one is a valid variable name, while one variable is not. So if you start with a number, then it doesn't work. Then another thing is that you can use uppercase letters in variable names, but it is more common to begin variable names with a lowercase letter. So you can start with uppercase if you like, that's okay. All right, so that's fine. So if your variable name is long, you can use an underscore character to separate words. For example, if you have maybe a variable name is for top 5 members, or variable one, that's var one. So instead of having top 5 members with space in between, that won't work because spaces are not allowed. Variable one, var space one, it will not work. So you have to either close it up by saying top 5 members, no space, or top underscore 5 underscore members, or variable one, variable underscore one, or just a var one directly. So these are both valid, right? So, but those spaces are allowed. Then another thing is you need to avoid using special characters like percent, exclamation, art, hashtag, hash like that, dollar sign, etc. in variable names. So no special characters are allowed in naming Python variables. Okay, so I cannot have like X% or X exclamation as a variable name. That doesn't work. Then Python keywords cannot be used as variable names. If you try to use a keyword like if or while as a variable name, Python will give a syntax error. So some keywords that are very useful in Python, you want to use them. Something like one of the most common one would be print. You get to use print a lot. So print is a keyword in Python. So you cannot name a variable as print. That won't work at all. Additionally, here are some examples of Python keywords that cannot be used as variable names, like false, none, true, and, as, assert, break, class, continue, def, del, elif, else, except, finally, for, from, global, if, import, in, is, lambda, non-local, not, or pass, raise, return, try, while, with, yield, etc. So these are keywords in Python. So we are going to explore some of these keywords as we move on in this playlist. So you don't want to use any of these as a variable name in Python. Most of the time, when you want to use these keywords in Python, they come out as green. So once you see a keyword that is not black, you can see the ones I used here now. They are all black. X, Y, Z are black. So once you see your variable name turning, say, green, you can already know that something is wrong. Or maybe it's turning red, as you are going to see in subsequent cells, right? So it is important, all right, it is important to follow these guidelines and avoid using keywords as variable names to ensure that your code runs without syntax errors. So if you use a wrong variable name, you are going to have syntax errors. Imagine a wrong variable here. I have a variable called AJD string. Of course, in fact, because of the AI compliance of Google, it can already tell you something is wrong. So, for instance, it tells you statement must be separated by new lines or semicolons. So, variable name string. So, of course, I can already see that this is wrong because AJD dash string would not be a correct variable name because no space can be allowed. All right. So this is AJD space string will not be a correct variable name. In short, that's all I'm saying. So if you run this now, it's going to give you an error, and it shows you where the error is. That the error is with string. And that means probably you should close it up or you should use an underscore. So in the next cell now, instead of having just AJD space string, now in fact, one Google Colab has even helped you by using all these red lines you see all over the place. It's just to tell you that something is wrong somewhere. In this case, now when everything is fine, you don't see all those lines, right? So it's just like a Microsoft, when you spell a word right or your grammar is not correct, so it underlines it for you, so you can actually take correction. So in this case, now I've added the EJD and string together. Instead of having space, I use underscore. So it's now like one word, so to speak. And EJD underscore string, so that actually contains my name. In fact, I can even take it further and say, because so you can get what the old EJD thing is, Emmanuel Jesse Dansu string. So that I want to print the length of that name, and then I now want to list, I treat every letter and every character of that string one after the other. That's what this is doing. Now you're going to learn this later when we talk about iterables, but the essence of this is to know how to name variables. So you already see that when you have space between two words as a variable name, that is totally wrong. So if we run this now, we get the results. So it first of all tells me that this 22 is the number of characters here. So like even including the spaces, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's the space, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, that's space, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So that's why you have 22 characters. Again, of course, if you want to create space, because we have two results here, this first print, which tells me the number of characters here, you're going to understand about why we are using length here when we go on to data types and variable data types and variable data structures. So if I do this now, so it separates this to show me this 22 is for the first, it's for line 4, and this 20, the other one is for line 9. So you can see it has, so what I've told you to do in lines 8 and 9 is to iterate over my name and give every character in that place. That's what is happening here. So if I do, so in the first case, I use underscore, right? So what I can also close up the space, right? So I can close up the space like I've done here. So you also get the same result. So again, let me separate the result with a blank print. So I do that again, and then it gives me. So now I have just Emmanuel Dansu. So it's showing me 14. So I can put Jason, but it's okay. So it's showing me 14 for the Emmanuel Danso, and then the rest of the other part is just showing me every character in that string, basically. Now let's quickly look at some examples of bad variables. So if you check, why would this first one be a bad variable? Well, of course, you can see it's once you see a color a color that is not black as a variable name, something is wrong somewhere, or you see it's underlined. So in this case, now you see one is starting and it is in green, var is underlined. That means something is basically wrong with that variable. So if you run that, now it's going to give you an error, and it is something about 1, right? So you see this caret. Is it, yeah, caret under 1. So it tells you that 1 should not be a variable name. So if I remove this one, now everything is fine. It's not underlined, so everything is actually fine. So I could actually print. So I could print var and get a nice result from that. Okay, so you see that. So, but well, our emphasis for wrong variable. So wrong variable error message. Then here we have class is equal to 5. Of course, class is a keyword in Python, as you're going to see later when we get to object-oriented programming. If you run this, it's going to give error. So you can see the color is not black. So, well, by rule of thumb, variable names are usually, you would actually come out in black. Well, I don't know how it will render on other devices, but on my own computer, most times variable names come out as black. The color is black. So once you see a variable name blue or green or something different, then you should know that something is not correct. Of course, you can use a Python keyword as a variable name, but if you attach it with something, if I say class 1 now, then I can now print that class 1 and it will be fine. I can print class 1. So by adding 1 to it, it's no longer a Python keyword. Then this one actually gives me a correct answer. So, but our emphasis is on the fact that we cannot use this as a variable name. Okay. Global is also a keyword in Python. So we'll see that when we talk about variable scope after dealing with Python functions, right? So global equals 10. We are going to have an error here. But of course, just like I said before, if you say global underscore 2, then that can now be okay. And then you can actually print, global underscore 2. Okay. So you can print that and it gives you a correct result. But then using global on its own is wrong because it is a Python keyword. And here, now you can see red, you can see everything underlined in red. That means something is wrong with that. So if you say all at 1 equals 100, that is not an acceptable variable name because we have an @ sign in between. So if you run this now, you see the all is showing you that something is really wrong. So you cannot assign to expression, and maybe you meant this instead of, it's suggesting whatever error you might have right here. But you and I know that @ is not allowed as a variable name. So once you remove that, you see everything becomes normal, and then you can actually, so you can have all, or you can have all 1, all right? And then if you print either of that, you get a nice result. It can be printed, okay? but you just want to show that all at one is a wrong variable name. And that's basically what this whole video is about. So learn how to name variables right in Python. Okay. Of course, I've only introduced you to types of variables and all these things. So in subsequent videos, I think we'll begin to, of course, we'll be talking about variables in depth and how to work with some of these variables. All right, so this is how this video goes. If you have if you let me know how helpful this video is for you, right? And if there's something you'd like me to try out, feel very free to let me know. If you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Of course, if you don't subscribe, you'll be missing a lot because there's a lot to learn right here. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can always get alerted each time a new video is released. Don't forget to also become a member. If you can become a member, click on join, and then you can see 3 different levels of membership you can join to enjoy some special privileges, including maybe having a one-on-one conversation with me, depending on the level of membership, or getting some of my notes. Of course, the notes to this note to this Jupyter notebook is all available on Google Drive. Just look at the link to Google Drive on Facebook or on YouTube. Then you can download the materials. In fact, I always recommend that you download the materials first, then you start following step by step. So as I do something, you do it, or you can even open Google Colab and just follow me in what I do. All you need for that is a Gmail account. So become a member if you can. Ultimately, don't forget to like, share, and comment so that more people can have access to the content I have going on here. Till I come your way again, keep doing Python right. Bye.